Israel-Gaza Iran War News Live Update. Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions BDS, policies that target Palestinian resistance groups. Supporting the Palestinian fight against genocide is the primary goal of boycotting, divesting, and penalizing Israel. In spite of popular belief to the contrary, this strategy has never been effective in overthrowing repressive regimes. If anything, it has bolstered the cause of armed struggle. But in the instance of the Boycott National Committee in the Ramallah ruled by Mahmoud Abbas, it has started to be seen as hostile to the armed resistance. During the Gaza massacre in May 2024, which claimed the lives of more than 40,000 Palestinians, the BDS, BNC mini-regime in Ramallah gave orders to the rest of the movement. Averting police brutality, sabotage, and agent provocateurs, a global call to protect the Palestine Solidarity Movement, was the title of the message. Palestinian coalitions and networks do not call on any solidarity group or coalition to campaign for, raise slogans for, or otherwise support Palestinian armed resistance, it continued. Repressive anti-Palestinian authorities and pro-apartheid media use calls for armed resistance against the colonial West as proof of incitement to violence, hate speech, or support for banned groups. We acknowledge that this portrayal would undoubtedly hurt the Palestine Solidarity Movement. This further deepens the crackdown and, unintentionally, makes it easier to try to criminalize the Palestine Solidarity Movement and all its forms of mobilization, which in turn drives away supporters. Not only that, but it would furthermore take focus away from the Solidarity Movement's stated consensus Palestinian demands. Thus, we have Omar Barghouti, in essence, issuing a declaration in which he urges Western youth to reject the sacred right of Palestinians to armed resistance against their criminal occupier. Several well-known Palestinian organizations, including several that have engaged in violent resistance against the entity, were named as endorsing the text. Reportedly, this sparked a backlash, and several groups even asked to have their names removed. In response to Barghouti's remarks, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine released a statement. In its statement, the PFLP stated that the BDS National Committee's stance on armed resistance goes against the legitimacy of our people's resistance and disregards the consensus. The front stressed that the BNC's arguments in Ramallah and its demands for Western countries to remain silent on armed resistance are completely false and disconnected from reality. The evildoings of Barghouti and the BNC in stifling effective reactions to the Zionist genocide in Palestine are finally becoming apparent to many. Palestinian organizations praise the heroic combat of the resistance fighters against Israel. Palestinian groups hold resistance members in high esteem for their heroic fight against Israeli assault, claiming that they set a new standard for resistance. Israel-loving Argentine leader surprises, divides. Argentina's President Javier Milei appears tranced at the Western Wall's base in Jerusalem's Old City. He prayed with the Orthodox rabbi who converted him to Judaism 3 years earlier with his head and hands against the ancient stone. After growing up Roman Catholic, Milei has exhibited interest in Judaism and even stated a desire to convert. Milei broke down after leaving the wall. He cried on Rabbi Shimon Axel Wanish's shoulder. In that moment, I felt proud that we have such a determined leader, with such strong spiritual principles, Wanish told the Associated Press about their February state trip to Israel. Pride was dangerous for many Argentines. Milei has gone further in supporting right-wing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government than perhaps any other world leader as Israel faces growing isolation over its bombardment and invasion of Gaza, which has killed over 36,000 Palestinians and pushed the enclave to the brink of famine. His position contrasts with most of Latin America, where Bolivia and Colombia have severed ties with Israel and at least 5 nations, including Brazil, have withdrawn ambassadors from Tel Aviv. I perceive indifference and anxiety about standing on the side of truth among powerful nations that should be foundations of the free world, Milei told Jewish community leaders last month at an event marking the 81st anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. This was a subtle dig at Western nations, notably the U.S., for condemning Israeli military conduct. Crowds rose in applause. The president's allies say his newfound Jewish fervor doesn't affect foreign policy. However, Milei's obsession with Judaism and public support for Israel has raised concerns and strained relations with Argentina's largest Jewish population and its neighbors. Deeply scarred. The 1992 and 1994 bombings of Israel's embassy and the Argentine Jewish Mutual Association, AMIA, community center left Argentine Jews traumatized. Authorities say Iran planned and Hezbollah carried out the assaults. No one is accountable. Argentina's probe is controversial.